What's up guys, welcome back to another low quality tutorial video. Today I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to strum and pluck chords. If you haven't checked out my previous video on how to play chords on the violin, feel free to check out in the link below. And yeah, so let's get into our tips on strumming and plucking the violin. Tip number 1, don't pluck your strings beyond the fingerboard, which means the place where you usually use your bow to play. Firstly, the sound will not sound good compared to. Basically, you have a lot more control when you pluck around the fingerboard. And another reason why you don't pluck here is because when the sweat on your fingers get onto the strings, this is going to stick onto the strings here, and when the rosin on the bow gets all wet and sticky, it's going to be really bad for your bow and your playing, and you just destroy your violin basically. Tip number 2, don't use a pick. Violin strings are really delicate, so you don't want them to be destroyed by anything too hard or sharp. Furthermore, you have a risk of scratching your instrument because of how sturdy and tough picks really are. You really don't want to do anything that hurts your violin, which brings me over to my third point, which is do not injure your fretboard or your violin body. A lot of people, when I see them start strumming, they end up scarring their fingerboards and their violins, and I will just be like, yeah, do not injure your violin or fretboard while strumming your strings, because your violin is just gonna look really bad, and I know most of your violins out there are pretty expensive. Your violin's your baby, you need to protect it well. Tip 4, for a warmer sound, pluck with the fleshy part of your fingers instead of using a nail. Yeah, I hope you guys can hear the difference, it's quite obvious. So, it really depends on what kind of sound you're going for. If you're strumming your strings, of course it doesn't really matter. Same goes for when you're doing pits. Tip number 5, press on your notes hard with those fingers. If you're not going to press hard enough, your chords will just sound bad. Tip number 6, learn how to play a guitar. You don't necessarily have to be a pro at the guitar, but if you were to learn the basics of strumming patterns, strumming, and how to pluck, how to do some fingerstyle, it will really help you in your. It really help you when you're playing chords on the violin. So yeah, I would advise anyone out there who wants to play chords on the violin to learn a guitar, because you'll be able to learn many skills that you are able to apply to chord plucking on the violin. And last and final tip, tip number 7, please keep your hands clean. Usually the only points of contact that we have with our violins is the neck and our hand. But when we bring down to this level, your arms are touching your chin rest, your fingers are getting soaked. Basically your violin is just going to get really dirty if you are going to continue plucking and strumming without taking good care of it. So keep your violin clean and keep your hands clean when you play the violin. And so yeah, those are just 7 really quick tips that I thought I'd share with you guys. If you guys want to learn how to play chords on the violin, feel free to check out the video in the description below. I cover the basics. I cover the basics of how to play chords and come up with chords on the violin. And if you have any questions or anything for me, leave it in the comments below. Feel free to subscribe, like, and comment. And I'll see you next time. Bye.